Admiral Kang Wu stood in the command center deep beneath Mount Everest and watched the alien ships moving across the star map. The Vorth Empire was coming closer to Earth every day, but the aliens thought humans were weak and stupid. They had no idea what was waiting for them under the mountains. The command center was carved from solid rock 3 miles below the surface. Hundreds of officers worked at glowing screens that showed every ship in the galaxy. None of the aliens knew these screens existed. For 200 years, humanity had been building the greatest fleet in galactic history while pretending to be a backward planet with broken spaceships. Kang Wu was 60 years old and had spent his entire life keeping this secret. His father had worked on the first hidden ships, and his grandfather had helped design the underground cities. 3 generations of his family had given their lives to this moment. Now the waiting was almost over. Dr. Park Hana walked into the command center carrying a datapad. She was the chief engineer who had designed most of the technology that kept the fleet hidden. Her ships could phase through solid rock like ghosts and become invisible to any scanner the aliens possessed. She looked tired because she had been working for 18 hours straight, but her eyes were bright with excitement. "The final tests are complete," she said to Kang Wu. "All million ships are ready for launch. The quantum drives are working perfectly, and the stealth systems show no flaws. When we emerge, the aliens will not know what hit them." Kang Wu nodded and looked at the display showing Earth's surface. To any alien watching from space, the planet looked normal. A few primitive satellites floated in orbit, and some basic defense platforms protected the major cities. Everything was designed to look weak and unimportant. The real defenses were hidden so well that even the most advanced alien scanners could not detect them. Captain Li Day stood near the tactical display studying the Vorth fleet movements. He was 35 years old and the best pilot in the hidden fleet. His ship was docked in a hangar carved from the inside of Mount Everest itself. Like all the hidden vessels, it was 3 times larger than the biggest alien warship and equipped with weapons that could destroy entire fleets. "The Vorth have 800,000 ships heading our way," Li Day said. "Their advanced scouts should reach the outer solar system in 6 days. They think they are bringing the largest invasion force in galactic history." Kang Wu smiled coldly. The Vorth Empire had conquered 47 star systems in the past century. They were proud and cruel and believed no species could stand against them. They had demanded that Earth surrender without a fight, calling humans a primitive race that should be grateful to serve as slaves. The Galactic Council had refused to help Earth when the human ambassador asked for protection. The council members were a mix of different alien species who thought they were superior to humans. They had laughed when Earth's representative begged for assistance against the Vorth invasion. Some of the alien diplomats had suggested that humans should simply accept their fate and hope the Vorth would be merciful. What none of them knew was that Earth's ambassador was playing a role. Ambassador Narration was one of the best actors in human history, and her job was to make aliens think humans were weak and desperate. While she pretended to beg for help, the hidden fleet prepared for war. The underground facilities stretched across every major mountain range on Earth. The Himalayas held the main fleet, but there were secret bases in the Rockies, the Andes, the Alps, and dozens of smaller ranges. Maglev trains connected the bases through tunnels that went completely around the planet. The entire operation was hidden by holographic projectors that made the mountains look normal from space. Commander Cho Yun was responsible for keeping the secret safe. She had spent 20 years making sure no alien spy could discover the truth about Earth's defenses. Her security teams monitored every transmission that left the planet and eliminated any evidence that might reveal the hidden fleet. She was ruthless in protecting humanity's greatest advantage. The alien races thought humans were barely capable of space travel. Earth's official fleet consisted of a few hundred outdated ships that looked like they had been built by children. These vessels were deliberately designed to appear primitive and ineffective. When alien visitors came to Earth, they saw exactly what humans wanted them to see. But 3 miles below the surface, the real Earth was a technological wonder. The hidden cities housed 10 million people who worked on the secret fleet. They had families and schools and parks, all carved from living rock and lit by artificial suns. Children grew up knowing they were part of the greatest military secret in galactic history, and they were proud to serve humanity's cause. The shipyards were engineering marvels that could build a new warship every hour. Automated systems worked around the clock, using materials harvested from asteroids by cloaked mining ships. Each vessel incorporated technology that was decades ahead of anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human scientists had taken alien designs and improved them beyond recognition. Dr. Park Hanna had invented the quantum phase drives that allowed ships to pass through solid matter. The weapon systems could manipulate gravity and dark matter to destroy targets at the molecular level. The shield generators created protective fields so powerful that they could deflect the explosion of a small star. Every ship in the hidden fleet was a masterpiece of human engineering. The aliens would never suspect the truth because humans had been such good actors. For 2 centuries, every human who left Earth had played the role of a primitive species struggling to understand advanced technology. They asked stupid questions and acted amazed by simple alien devices. They traded worthless trinkets for valuable information and pretended to be grateful for scraps of knowledge. Kang Wu remembered his training as a young officer. He had been taught to walk differently when aliens were watching, to speak in a way that sounded unsophisticated, and to react with wonder to things humans had invented centuries ago. Every human in space was a spy gathering intelligence while pretending to be inferior. The Vorth Empire had fallen for the deception completely. Their spies reported that Earth had no significant military capability, and that humans would surrender after a brief symbolic resistance. The Vorth commanders were already planning how to divide up human territory and which cities to destroy as examples to other species. What they did not know was that human agents had infiltrated every level of Vorth society. Human spies looked like Vorth through advanced genetic modification and had been feeding false information to the enemy for decades. The Vorth thought they knew everything about human capabilities, but every piece of intelligence they possessed was carefully crafted lies. Now the moment of truth was approaching. The Vorth fleet was almost within range, and soon the galaxy would learn that humanity was not the weak species they appeared to be. Kang Wu looked at the tactical display showing the positions of his million ships, each one waiting in its hidden hangar for the order to launch. The mountains of Earth held the greatest secret in galactic history, and that secret was about to change everything. Yoon Jae walked through the maintenance tunnel beneath the Himalayas and tried not to think about how much rock was above his head. He was 23 years old and had been working in the underground facilities for only 6 months. Every day brought new surprises as he discovered just how vast the hidden empire really was. The tunnel stretched for miles in both directions, lit by strips of blue light that never seemed to dim. Maglev trains shot past every few minutes, carrying workers and supplies between the different sections of the base. Yoon Jae had been told that some of these trains traveled all the way to bases under other mountain ranges, connecting the entire hidden network. Today, his supervisor had given him a special assignment. A section of the ship construction area needed repair work on the environmental systems. Yoon Jae had been chosen because he was small enough to fit through the narrow access passages. He carried his toolkit and tried to remember the directions to Section 7 Alpha. When he reached the maintenance entrance, Yoon Jae was surprised to find it guarded by 2 security officers. Commander Cho Yoon herself was standing there checking identification cards. She was a stern woman in her 40s who rarely smiled and seemed to know everything that happened in the underground cities. "You are the maintenance worker for Section 7 Alpha," she said to Yoon Jae. It was not a question. She scanned his ID card and looked at him carefully. "You understand that everything you see today is classified at the highest level. If you speak about this to anyone without proper clearance, you will be sent to the deep mines for the rest of your life." Yoon Jae nodded quickly. He had heard about the deep mines where security violators were sent to work on projects so secret that workers never returned to the surface. Commander Cho Eun gestured for him to follow her through the entrance. The passage led to an observation deck that looked out over the largest space Yoon Jae had ever seen. The cavern was so huge that he could not see the far walls through the artificial atmosphere. Thousands of warships hung in construction cradles, each one bigger than any building on the surface. Robot workers crawled over the hulls like metal insects, adding weapons and armor plating. "This is Construction Bay 7. Commander Cho Yun said. "We build 12 ships here every day. Each vessel is equipped with technology that makes the most advanced alien warship look like a child's toy. The ships you see here are just a small part of the million-ship fleet." Yun-jae stared at the nearest warship. It was over 2 kilometers, long and bristled with weapons he did not recognize. The hull was made of some dark material that seemed to absorb light. Small fighter craft moved around it like bees around a hive, testing systems and loading supplies. "How long have we been building ships down here?" Yun-jae asked. "Since 2157, Commander Cho Yun replied. "That was when Admiral Kang Woo's grandfather began the project. We have been working for 200 years to build this fleet while keeping it completely hidden from alien observation." She led him to a transport platform that took them down to the construction floor. The noise was incredible as thousands of machines worked to assemble the massive ships. Sparks flew from welding operations, and huge cranes moved hull sections that weighed millions of tons. Human workers in protective suits supervised the automated systems and made adjustments that only living minds could calculate. Professor Kim Tae was examining a weapon system on one of the nearly completed ships. He was a xenobiologist who had spent 30 years studying alien physiology and developing countermeasures for every known species. His research had led to weapons that could target the specific biological weaknesses of each alien race. "The Vorth have redundant nervous systems," he explained to a group of weapons technicians. "Their brain stems are protected by thick bone, but they have nerve clusters in their necks that control motor functions. A neural disruptor aimed at these clusters will paralyze them instantly without causing permanent damage." Yun-jae learned that every human scientist had been studying alien biology, technology, and psychology for generations. While the aliens thought humans were primitive and ignorant, human researchers had been analyzing every aspect of galactic civilization. They knew more about alien weaknesses than the aliens knew about themselves. The hidden cities were marvels of engineering that put anything on the surface to shame. Yun-jae saw residential areas with parks and lakes, all carved from solid rock and illuminated by artificial suns that provided perfect lighting. Families lived comfortable lives while working on the greatest military project in history. Children attended schools where they learned not just mathematics and science, but also acting techniques for dealing with aliens. Every human who might encounter alien visitors had to be trained to appear primitive and harmless. The children practiced looking confused by simple technology and asking the kinds of questions that would make aliens feel superior. The food production areas used advanced hydroponics and artificial biology to create nutritious meals from basics, chemical compounds. The air recycling systems were so efficient that the atmosphere in the underground cities was cleaner than anything on the surface. Medical facilities could treat injuries and diseases that would be impossible to cure with surface technology. Yun-jae was amazed to learn that the underground population was larger than most nations on the surface. 10 million people lived and worked in the hidden cities, all dedicated to keeping the secret of humanity's true capabilities. They had their own government, their own culture, and their own pride in being part of something greater than themselves. The manufacturing systems were beyond anything Yun-jae had imagined. Matter compilers could take raw materials and transform them into any component needed for ship construction. The raw materials came from asteroid mining operations that used completely cloaked ships to harvest resources without alien detection. Dr. Park Hana showed him the stealth technology that made the hidden fleet possible. The quantum phase drives allowed ships to exist in a state between dimensions, making them invisible to all known scanning methods. The ships could pass through solid rock as easily as moving through empty space. "The aliens think they understand physics," Dr. Park Hana explained. "But human scientists have discovered principles that the galaxy has never imagined. Our ships can manipulate space and time in ways that will seem like magic to alien observers." The weapons systems were equally advanced. Gravitational cannons could create artificial black holes that would consume enemy ships. Dark matter torpedoes could pass through any shield and destroy targets from the inside. Quantum disruptors could unmake the atomic bonds that held matter together. Every ship was equipped with defensive systems that were generations ahead of alien technology. The shield generators created protective fields that could deflect energy. Weapons, kinetic projectiles, and even exotic matter attacks. The armor plating was made from materials that existed only in theoretical physics textbooks on otherworlds. Yoon-jae spent the day working on environmental systems while learning about the scope of the hidden empire. There were bases under every major mountain range on Earth, connected by tunnels that formed a global network. The bases in the Andes specialized in fightercraft production, while the Rocky Mountain facilities focused on support vessels. The security measures were incredible. Every communication was monitored and encrypted using quantum methods that made alien code breaking impossible. Holographic projectors created false images that hid the real activities from orbital observation. Even human satellites in space were designed to look primitive while secretly gathering intelligence on alien movements. Commander Cho Yoon explained that human agents had infiltrated every major alien government and military organization. These spies used advanced disguises and genetic modifications to appear as native aliens while gathering vital information. The intelligence network was so complete that humans often knew about alien military plans before the alien commanders did. The most amazing discovery was that the hidden fleet was just the beginning. Plans existed for even more advanced projects that would give humanity total dominance over galactic civilization. Generation ships were being designed to carry human colonists to distant galaxies, and research was being conducted into technologies that could manipulate time itself. As the day ended, Yoon-jae understood that he was part of something magnificent. The aliens who thought humans were weak and primitive had no idea that they were dealing with the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. The mountains of Earth hid not just 1,000,000 ships, but the future of all intelligent life. When the Vorth Empire arrived expecting an easy conquest, they would discover that humanity had been preparing for this moment for 2 centuries. The galaxy was about to learn that the species they had dismissed as inferior was actually their superior in every way that mattered. Ambassador Narration stood before the Galactic Council and let tears run down her face. She had practiced this performance for years, learning how to appear desperate and helpless while hiding her true feelings. The alien representatives watched, her with expressions that ranged from boredom to contempt. "Please," she said in a voice that trembled with fake fear. "The Vorth Empire is coming to destroy my world. Humanity has never harmed anyone. We are a peaceful species that only wants to live in harmony with the galaxy. Surely you cannot let them exterminate us without lifting a finger to help." The Galactic Council chamber was a massive dome on the space station Nexus Prime. Representatives from 43 different species sat in floating chairs arranged in a circle around the central speaking platform. Most of them looked at Narration like she was an insect that had somehow learned to talk. Councillor Vex of the Altarian Republic was the first to respond. His blue skin rippled with patterns that indicated amusement in his species. "Ambassador Narration, the Council sympathizes with your situation, but we cannot involve ourselves in every local conflict. The Vorth Empire has legitimate territorial claims in your sector." Narration made her voice crack with emotion. "Legitimate claims? They want to enslave or kill every human being alive. How can that be legitimate? We have done nothing to deserve this fate except exist in a system they want to control." Councillor Zeph from the Crystalline Dominion spoke next. Her voice sounded like music, but her words were cold. "Humanity has contributed nothing significant to galactic civilization. Your technology is primitive, your culture is unremarkable, and your military capabilities are negligible. Perhaps it would be better for the galaxy if the Vorth absorbed your territory and put it to more productive use." Narration fell to her knees on the speaking platform, an act that would have been genuinely humiliating if it had been real. Inside her mind, she was calculating exactly how she would destroy each of these arrogant aliens when the time came. But on the outside, she looked like a broken woman begging for mercy. "I understand that humans are not as advanced as the great species represented here," she said through fake sobs. "But surely every intelligent life has value. We ask not for military intervention, but only for diplomatic pressure to convince the Vorth to spare civilian populations." The council members exchanged glances that clearly showed what they thought of humanity's worth. Several of them were actively checking their personal devices, finding human pleas for survival less interesting than their daily schedules. While Narration performed her role on Nexus Prime, General So Hyun was preparing Earth's official defense fleet for what everyone expected to be a brief and hopeless battle. Her ships were deliberately outdated and poorly equipped, designed to look like humanity's best effort while actually being elaborate props in the greatest deception in galactic history. So, Hyun stood on the bridge of her flagship, the vessel that aliens would identify as Earth's most powerful warship. It was actually a converted cargo hauler with weapons that were decades behind current alien technology. Her crew knew their real job was to put on a convincing show of desperate resistance before being destroyed or surrendering. "Status report," So-hyun said to her tactical officer. 230 ships ready for deployment, came the reply. "All systems are operating at minimum efficiency levels as planned. The aliens will see exactly what we want them to see. A pathetic attempt at defense by a primitive species. The official fleet was positioned to protect Earth's major cities and industrial centers. Every ship was equipped with transponders that would make them easy for alien sensors to detect and track. The weapons were real, but limited, capable of putting up a fight that would look brave but futile to outside observers. Hidden sensors throughout the solar system were already tracking the approaching Vorth fleet. The aliens were making no attempt at stealth, confident that nothing Earth possessed could threaten their massive armada. They had 800,000 ships of various sizes, from small patrol craft to massive battleships that could destroy entire cities with single shots. Deep beneath the mountains, Dr. Park Hana was making final adjustments to the quantum cloaking systems that had hidden humanity's true fleet for 2 centuries. Every hidden ship was equipped with phase generators that allowed them to exist partially outside normal space-time, making them completely invisible to any scanning technology the galaxy possessed. "All stealth systems are operating perfectly," she reported to Admiral Kang Woo. "The Vorth sensors are passing right through our ships without detecting anything. As far as they know, the official fleet is all humanity has to defend itself." The Vorth advanced scouts had already entered the outer solar system and were conducting detailed scans of human defenses. Their reports back to the main fleet were exactly what humanity wanted them to send. Earth appeared to be protected by obsolete weapons platforms, a few orbital stations, and a small fleet of primitive warships. What the Vorth scouts could not see were the million human ships waiting in their mountain hideouts. Each vessel was 3 times larger than the biggest Vorth battleship and equipped with weapons that operated on principles the aliens had never imagined. The hidden fleet possessed enough firepower to destroy every ship in the galaxy several times over. Captain Lee Day was running final system checks on his personal ship, which was docked in a hangar carved from the heart of Mount Everest itself. His vessel was designated as the command ship for the first wave of the surprise attack. In a few hours, he would lead the most devastating military strike in galactic history. "All weapon systems show green," his ship's artificial intelligence reported. "Gravitational manipulation drives are ready for combat deployment. Dark matter torpedoes are loaded and targeted. Quantum disruptor cannons are charged to full power." Lee Day smiled as he thought about the expressions on Vorth faces when a million human warships suddenly appeared around their fleet. The aliens expected to fight a few hundred primitive vessels. Instead, they would find themselves completely surrounded by ships that could destroy them with weapons they could not even understand. Professor Kim Tae had spent the past week distributing biological warfare agents to the ships that would be boarding Vorth vessels. His research into alien physiology had produced compounds that could incapacitate specific species without harming others. The Vorth boarding parties would find themselves paralyzed within minutes of encountering human defenders. The underground. Cities were buzzing with excitement as the moment of revelation approached. Children who had grown up knowing they were part of humanity's greatest secret were finally going to see the plan put into action. Families gathered around viewing screens to watch the battle that would change galactic history. Back on Nexus Prime, Ambassador Narration was finishing her performance before the Galactic Council. The alien representatives had made it clear that they would not help humanity against the Vorth invasion. Some had even suggested that humans should accept their fate gracefully and hope for merciful treatment from their conquerors. "I understand the Council's position," Narration said, with a voice full of resignation. "Humanity will face its destiny, alone. We ask only that you remember us kindly when we are gone." Counselor Vex made a dismissive gesture. "Your species will be remembered as an example of what happens to civilizations that fail to advance. Perhaps some of your people will survive as workers in the Vorth Empire. It may be the best fate your kind could hope for." Narration bowed deeply and left the chamber, playing her role to the very end. Outside in the corridor, she allowed herself a small smile. In a few hours, these arrogant aliens would discover that they had made the greatest mistake in galactic history. The species they had dismissed as primitive and worthless was about to become the dominant power in known space. The Vorth fleet was now less than 6 hours from Earth. Their commanders were already planning victory celebrations and discussing how to divide human territory among their forces. They had studied the intelligence reports showing Earth's pathetic defenses and felt confident that the battle would be over within minutes of their arrival. What they did not know was that every piece of intelligence they possessed had been carefully crafted by human agents. The sensor readings, the spy reports, and the military assessments were all elaborate lies designed to lure the Vorth into a trap that would destroy their entire invasion force. Admiral Kang Wu looked at the countdown timer showing time until the Vorth fleet reached Earth orbit. 2 centuries of preparation were about to be tested in the greatest space battle ever fought. He thought about his grandfather, who had started this project, and his father, who had continued it. Now it was his responsibility to finish what his family had begun. The mountains of Earth held secrets that would shock the galaxy, and those secrets were about to be revealed in the most spectacular way possible. Admiral Kang Wu watched the tactical display as the Vorth fleet entered Earth's orbit. 800,000 enemy ships arranged themselves in attack formation, their commanders confident that they were about to crush the most pathetic resistance in galactic history. The alien vessels were sleek and deadly, bristling with weapons that had conquered 47 star systems. "Vorth fleet is in position," reported the tactical officer. "They are beginning bombardment of our official defense platforms. General, So Hyun's fleet is moving to intercept as planned." On the surface displays, Kang Wu could see the carefully choreographed battle beginning. Earth's official fleet was engaging the Vorth advance guard with weapons that were decades out of date. Explosions lit up space as human ships were destroyed or disabled, exactly as the performance required. The Vorth commanders were pleased with how easily their enemies were falling. Their communications, which human technology intercepted and decoded instantly, showed complete confidence in their overwhelming superiority. They spoke of dividing human slaves and which cities to destroy as examples to other species. "All hidden fleets report ready for emergence," came the report from Commander Cho Yoon. 1 million ships are prepared to phase through the mountain. Barriers on your command." Kang Wu felt the weight of 200 years of preparation resting on his shoulders. His grandfather had dreamed of this moment when humans would reveal their true power to a galaxy that had dismissed them as primitive insects. His father had refined the plans and technology that made this surprise possible. "Dr. Park Hana, status of the quantum phase systems?" he asked. "All ships show green lights for dimensional emergence," she replied from her engineering station. "The phase generators are operating at perfect efficiency. We can materialize the entire fleet simultaneously without any risk of detection beforehand." The hidden ships waited in their mountain hangars like sleeping giants. Each vessel was a masterpiece of human engineering incorporating technology that the galaxy had never imagined. The weapons systems alone represented advances in physics that would revolutionize science if the aliens were smart enough to understand them. Captain Lee Day sat in his command chair aboard the flagship hidden beneath Mount Everest. His ship was designated Alpha 1 and would be the first to emerge from the mountains. Around him, his crew performed final system checks with the calm efficiency of people who had trained for this moment their entire lives. "All stations report ready," his tactical officer announced. "Gravitational manipulation drives are online. Dark matter torpedo tubes are loaded. Quantum disruptor arrays are charged to maximum power. The artificial intelligence that controlled the ship's systems was more advanced than anything the galaxy possessed. It could process tactical information and make combat decisions faster than any biological mind. The ship itself was alive in ways that organic beings could barely comprehend." Professor Kim Tae monitored the biological warfare systems that would be deployed against Vorth boarding parties. His research into alien physiology had produced compounds that could incapacitate Vorth soldiers within seconds while leaving their equipment intact for capture. Every human ship carried weapons tailored to the specific weaknesses of different alien species. The moment had arrived. Admiral Kang Wu looked at the display showing Vorth ships confidently attacking what they believed were humanity's only defenses. The aliens had positioned themselves perfectly for the trap that was about to close around them. "All fleets," he said into his communication system. "Operation Mountain Storm is authorized. Emerge and engage." The mountains of Earth began to split, open. What the Vorth had thought were solid peaks suddenly revealed themselves to be massive doors concealing the largest military fleet in galactic history. Mount Everest cracked down the middle as Captain Lee Day's flagship phased through solid rock and materialized in space. The quantum phase technology was beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. 1 million human warships emerged from the mountains, simultaneously, passing through matter as if it did not exist. They appeared around the stunned Vorth fleet, like ghosts becoming solid, each one larger and more advanced than the most powerful alien vessel. The Vorth commanders stared at their displays in complete shock. Where moments before they had been fighting a few hundred primitive ships, they now found themselves surrounded by a force that outnumbered them and possessed technology they could not begin to understand. "Impossible," whispered Vorth Admiral Kresh as he watched human ships materializing around his fleet. "No species could hide this many vessels. Our sensors showed nothing but rock and ice in those mountains." Captain Lee Day's ship led the first wave of attack. His gravitational cannons created artificial black holes that pulled Vorth vessels apart at the molecular level. Dark matter torpedoes passed through enemy shields as if they did not exist and destroyed ships from the inside out. Quantum disruptors unmade the atomic bonds holding alien hulls together. The human weapons operated on principles that made alien defensive systems completely useless. Vorth shields that could deflect plasma cannons and particle beams had no effect against weapons that manipulated the fundamental forces of reality. Enemy armor that could withstand nuclear explosions crumbled when attacked by devices that altered the laws of physics. Dr. Park Hana watched from the command center as her ships demonstrated their technological superiority. The stealth systems that had hidden the fleet for 2 centuries now allowed human vessels to appear and disappear at will. They could phase through enemy fire and rematerialize behind Vorth ships to attack from unexpected angles. "Vorth fleet is attempting to retreat," reported the tactical officer. "Their engines are being disrupted by our gravitational manipulation fields. None of their ships can achieve faster-than-light travel." The trap was perfect. The Vorth had entered Earth's solar system expecting easy conquest, but now they were completely surrounded by superior forces using incomprehensible technology. Their communications were jammed by quantum interference that made their equipment useless. Even their weapons were being neutralized by human countermeasures. Commander Cho Yoon led boarding parties that captured Vorth command ships. The biological warfare agents developed by Professor Kim Tae worked exactly as designed. Alien crew members found themselves paralyzed within minutes of encountering human forces, unable to resist, but remaining conscious to witness their defeat. "Vorth Admiral Kresh is requesting communication," reported the communications officer. "Put him through," Admiral Kang Wu replied. The main display showed the Vorth commander looking confused and terrified. His proud confidence had been replaced by the expression of someone whose entire understanding of reality had just been shattered. "What are you?" Admiral Kresh asked in a voice that trembled with shock. "No primitive species could possess such technology. This is impossible according to every law of physics we know." "You are correct that this is impossible according to the laws of physics that you know," Admiral Kang Wu replied calmly. "Humanity has spent 2 centuries advancing beyond the limitations that constrain other species. We have learned to manipulate forces that your science considers theoretical impossibilities." The battle was over in less than an hour. The mighty Vorth fleet that had conquered nearly 50 star systems was either destroyed or surrendering. Human ships had suffered no casualties because alien weapons simply could not penetrate defenses based on principles the galaxy had never imagined. Across the solar system, more human fleets were emerging from hidden bases. The moon split open to reveal shipyards that had been building vessels for decades. Mars cracked along artificial fault lines to expose underground facilities that dwarfed anything on the surface. Even the asteroid belt was revealed to contain hidden bases disguised as ordinary rocks. The scope of humanity's deception was staggering. While aliens had dismissed Earth as a backward planet with primitive technology, humans had been building the most advanced civilization in galactic history. Every mountain range, every moon, and every large asteroid had been converted into military installations. Yunjae watched from his maintenance station as the hidden ships emerged around him. The cavern that had seemed impossibly large was actually just one small part of a network that spanned the entire solar system. Humanity had been preparing for this moment since first contact with alien civilization. The Galactic Council was receiving emergency transmissions from across known space as the news of humanity's true capabilities spread. Species that had laughed at human requests for protection were now sending desperate messages asking for mercy. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted completely in the span of a single battle. Ambassador Na-Rin received a priority communication from Nexus Prime. Counselor Vex appeared on her screen looking pale and frightened, a dramatic change from his earlier arrogance. "Ambassador Na-Rin," he said in a voice that shook with fear. "The Council wishes to discuss new diplomatic arrangements with humanity. Perhaps we were hasty in our earlier assessment of your species' capabilities." Na-Rin smiled coldly. "I will convey your request to my government, but I suspect they may be too busy establishing new galactic policies to meet with representatives of the old order." The Galactic Council emergency session was unlike anything in the organization's 1,000-year history. Representatives from 43 species sat in stunned silence as they watched recordings of the battle that had destroyed the Vorth Empire in less than an hour. The humans they had dismissed as primitive insects had revealed themselves to be the most advanced military power in known space. Ambassador Na-Rin entered the council chamber with a confidence that was completely different from her previous appearance. She no longer played the role of a desperate diplomat begging for help. Instead, she carried herself like the representative of the galaxy's new dominant species. "Honored representatives," she said as she took the central speaking platform, "I bring greetings from the Human Colonial Administration and an offer of protection for all peaceful species in the galaxy." Counselor Vex of the Altarian Republic looked like he had aged decades in the past few days. His blue skin had lost its vibrant color, and his voice trembled when he spoke. "Ambassador Na-Rin, the Council wishes to apologize for our previous position regarding your species. We clearly misunderstood humanity's true capabilities." Na-Rin smiled pleasantly. "There is no need to apologize for believing exactly what we wanted you to believe. Humanity has spent 2 centuries perfecting the art of appearing weak while building strength. Your reactions were precisely what we expected from species limited by conventional thinking." The recordings continued to play on the chamber's main displays, showing human ships materializing from solid rock and destroying Vorth vessels with weapons that operated beyond known physics. The most advanced alien scientists could not even begin to understand how the technology worked. Counselor Zeph from the Crystalline Dominion spoke next, her musical voice now filled with fear. "How long have you possessed such advanced technology? Our scientists believed that your species had barely achieved basic space travel." "Your scientists saw exactly what human performers wanted them to see," Na-Rin replied. "Every human who left Earth was an actor playing a role designed to reinforce your assumptions about our primitive nature. While you studied what you thought were our capabilities, we were studying your weaknesses." Admiral Kang Wu stood in the command center beneath Mount Everest and watched as human fleets spread throughout the galaxy. The million ships that had been hidden under Earth's mountains were now establishing human dominance over every inhabited star system. Species that had laughed at humanity's requests for protection were now begging for mercy. Captain Li Day led the fleet that was securing the former Vorth capital world. His ships had encountered no resistance because news of humanity's overwhelming technological superiority had spread faster than any military force could travel. Alien governments were surrendering without firing a shot. Vorth High Command is requesting terms for complete capitulation, Li Day reported. They offer to transfer all military assets to human control and accept whatever form of government we choose to establish. Similar reports were coming in from across the galaxy. The hegemony of Krell had dissolved its military and declared itself a human protectorate. The Stellar Federation was offering to pay tribute in exchange for protection from other species. Even the proud Dominion of Suns was negotiating surrender terms. Dr. Park Hana was overseeing the deployment of even more advanced technology that had been held in reserve, while the quantum phase drives and gravitational weapons had been enough. To defeat the Vorth, humanity possessed capabilities that were even more revolutionary. Ships that could manipulate time itself were emerging from hidden bases throughout the solar system. The temporal displacement vessels are ready for deployment, she reported to Admiral Kang Wu. We can now place human forces at any point in galactic history if needed to secure our dominance. The underground cities were celebrating the end of 2 centuries of secrecy. Families who had spent generations working on the hidden fleet could finally reveal their true accomplishments to the galaxy. Children who had grown up practicing how to appear primitive could now show their real intelligence and education. Yunjae watched as the construction bays that had built the secret fleet were converted to produce civilian ships for human expansion. The same technology that had created the most powerful military force in history would now be used to establish human colonies throughout the galaxy. Planets that had been off-limits to primitive Earth were now open to settlement. Professor Kim Tae was analyzing biological samples from dozens of alien species, developing medical treatments that would allow humans to live comfortably on any world in the galaxy. His research was also creating new biological weapons that could be deployed against any species that chose to resist human authority. The scope of humanity's hidden empire continued to grow as more secret facilities revealed themselves. Mars opened to expose shipyards that had been building exploration vessels for decades. The moons of Jupiter cracked apart to show research stations that had been developing technologies beyond current galactic understanding. Even Earth's oceans were hiding secrets. Underwater bases rose from the depths, revealing that humanity had been building advanced submarines and sea-based weapons platforms, while aliens thought humans were limited to primitive surface ships. Every aspect of human civilization had been carefully hidden behind a facade of backwardness. Commander Cho Yun was establishing new security protocols for governing the galactic empire that humanity was rapidly acquiring. Her teams were identifying alien resistance groups and neutralizing them before they could organize effective opposition. The same intelligence network that had hidden humanity's capabilities was now being used to maintain human dominance. The Galactic Council voted unanimously to dissolve itself and transfer all authority to the new human colonial administration. Ambassador Narration accepted their surrender graciously, though she made it clear that humanity would be establishing new rules for galactic civilization. The era of weak governments and competing species interests is over, she announced. Humanity will provide the strong leadership that the galaxy has needed for centuries. Species that cooperate with human authority will prosper under our protection. Those that choose resistance will discover that our military capabilities extend far beyond what you witnessed in the Vorth conflict. General So Hyun was overseeing the conversion of captured alien military bases into human administrative centers. The ships that had pretended to be humanity's best defense were being retired, replaced by vessels that demonstrated the true extent of human technological advancement. All major alien military facilities have been secured, she reported. Resistance has been minimal because most species recognize the futility of opposing our capabilities. The few groups that attempted to fight were neutralized within hours. The transformation of galactic civilization was happening faster than anyone had imagined possible. Species that had dominated the galaxy for millennia were now accepting human governance with surprising grace. Most alien leaders realized that cooperation with humanity offered better prospects than the chaos that would result from resistance. Admiral Kang Wu received reports that human exploration fleets were already beyond the edges of known space, mapping new star systems and identifying worlds suitable for colonization. The technology that had been hidden beneath Earth's mountains was now being used to expand human influence throughout the universe. The former Vorth Empire was being reorganized as the first human colonial sector. Alien populations were being relocated to worlds better suited to their biology, while humans began establishing settlements on the most desirable planets. The process was happening peacefully because no species dared to oppose human authority. Dr. Park Hana was already working on the next generation of human technology. Projects that had been theoretical possibilities were now becoming reality as human scientists no longer needed to hide their capabilities. Ships that could travel between dimensions were being designed, along with weapons that could restructure matter at the quantum level. The galaxy that had once dismissed humanity as a primitive species was now completely under human control. The mountains of Earth had hidden the greatest secret in galactic history, and that secret had become the foundation of a new age of human dominance. Species across the galaxy were learning that the weak appearance humanity had maintained for centuries had been the most successful military deception ever accomplished. The aliens who had laughed at human requests for protection were now grateful that humanity was willing to protect them from each other. Ambassador Narration concluded her address to the former Galactic Council with words that would be remembered throughout galactic history. Humanity no longer asks for anything from other species. We provide what the galaxy needs: strong leadership, advanced technology, and protection from the chaos that results when inferior civilizations attempt to govern themselves. The age of human galactic dominance had begun, and it would last for as long as the mountains of Earth stood as monuments to the greatest military secret ever kept.